I'm Dick Doyle. This is my wife, Shelia Doyle, and we've been married for, 64 years?
Mm-hmm.
63 years?
67.
67? Wow.
Oh,
All right. And you two guys are just looking right into the camera. So I'm Dick Doyle.
okay.
Wait.
I'm Dick Doyle. This is my wife, Shelia Doyle. We've been married for 67 years. And what else should I say?
We have 3 kids.
Oh, okay. It's kind of a summary.
Yeah, like
Okay.
5 great, All right,
okay.
so we'll start that again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We
sorry,
have 3 children.
9.
We each of them live in the adjacent areas. There's a girl. The names are Laura, Richard, and Tricia. We've lived in this house that you see here for 52 years, and we had 2 other homes before this. So we have been very happy here. We have had a camp on Sacandaga Reservoir, 2 boats, numerous automobiles, place on Cape Cod. The 2 girls have places on Cape Cod. The son has a semi-year-round home on Galway Lake. And it's just very nice to have them all locally. In fact, for a number of years, Laura lived on kind of through the woods for the kids, and Tricia has lived across the field. So we have gotten to know our grandchildren very, very well. And we enjoy every minute of it.
Tell me both how you first met, and feel free to jump in on each other, and so whoever wants to start and say.
Go ahead.
Let's say we first met.
First met at a birthday party for a mutual friend. I was friends with Mary down in the city on Euclid Avenue, and he was good friends with her boyfriend Earl, and we met at a birthday party for her and spent a good deal of the time sitting on the stairs, the 2 of us just talking. And there was nothing more teasing us, but we were enjoying ourselves. We were trying to remember what all we talked about, and I don't know. At the time, it was important.
Well, for me, it was very, I certainly have thought about looking for a wife. I thought it was a period of maybe 5 to 7 years in order to put this all together. And we're still in school. And when I walked in, I can remember Mary, her maiden name was Costello, but when Mary opened the door, you walked into like an entrance hall. And then you could see into the living room. And Sheila was standing in the living room. And I was immediately impressed. She had great posture. The red hair, I had never planned on this dark red hair, but it was beautiful. She had on a blue, navy blue dress with, shorter sleeves, and it was all trimmed in white. The collar was trimmed in white. She had a purse over one shoulder with no less than gloves in it, kind of tucked into the purse somehow. And she had on white shoes, white heels, and she was actually stunning. So we walked into the room, and Mary was going to introduce her to me, or me to her. And she says, "I'm Sheila," and she stuck out her hand. And it's the first time I had shaken hands with a girl. I was amazed how small the hand was, and I don't have large hands, but how small the hand was, and what a firm grip she had. And she was looking up at me, and there was these beautiful blue eyes. And I don't know, I was scared. I was, it was the first girl I had met that I just felt this way about. And so anyway, Mary said that we should let go of each other, and she would introduce me to the other people, and then constantly I could come back. And when I came back, she was waiting, and then we were going to. Sheila was serving in a kitchen. Her and Dolores was helping in a kitchen. So when she came back from that, we were waiting. Many people were sitting, and we decided to that we were going to eat, but we weren't going to ask people to move around because we had a discussion going. And so we're going to sit on the stairs, and we sat on the stairs. But I was amazed that in those days they had what they called a buffet. It was a piece of furniture in the dining room, and it's set up higher than a table. And on that they had all the food. Sheila came to pate. And she explained to me that was chicken livers that were kind of smashed together with maybe mayonnaise or something. But she said she didn't like liver. I didn't like liver, so that worked out very, very well. And then we moved on, and when we got to the vegetables, there was what was that kind of vegetable that we didn't like?
Oh God, lima beans.
No. It was it was a squash type thing. Anyway, and so consequently, neither one of us liked that, and so we filled our plates and we went to sit on the stairs. I remember this very distinctly. I was trying to be, a gentleman. That I suggested to Sheila that she sit on the stairs and I would sit on a lower stair. Well, she says that doesn't work for me. First of all, I have a dress on, and that's hard with the skirt, and I know you don't want to keep looking under my skirt, so consequently, it would be much better if you sat on I sat on a lower stair, you sat on a higher stair. And then she says that, the other part that we've got to do, you've probably never been to a girl's birthday party. And I said, yes, I've never been to a girl's birthday, but, well, it's a little different than pizza and beer. So she says, I know what goes on. So you sit with your back to the spindles. I will sit with my back to the wall, and then I can watch what's going on because I also have kitchen duty. And that's what we did. And that worked out very well for us. And she came and went, and I enjoyed the dinner. I hope she did too. But we did a lot of talking. Do you want to talk about what you... No?
Well, going into some of the things like that you did, how you felt when we met. I remember him coming in the door, and there was just this feeling that I got was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just peace. I'm whole or something. I don't know. And he was. I've never had a minute of not feeling completely safe and just fine with him. And I think I felt it then. If everything was fine, it was perfectly all right. And I can remember us sitting and talking. For the life of me, I can't remember everything we talked about. But we spent the evening sitting on the stairs talking. And then after that, we, went out.
Well, certainly her dad picked her up. Sheila didn't have a car, wasn't driving, and then Earl and I went back home. Earl was
He was living with.
He was a friend that we met. That I met. He was living with his uncle, and there was some financial situation or something. But anyway, he ended up and he asked if he could, maybe have a room. And so consequently, Earl started living with us, and so we became friends. And then, he and Mary got married, and I think they had 5 children, and so on and so forth. But it was a really nice meeting. And after that, we were both busy, but we did manage to go bowling with the Stevens. And I don't know, we just got along well, as a couple.
You, Sheila, you talked about the peace that Dick brings you? What do you love about each other? What's the qualities that you love about each other? And whoever wants to go first. What I love about Dick is.
With me, I think I just sensed in him a sense of safety, of peace, of always dependability, very of honesty. He was someone that would always be there, always, always be there. I never for 1 minute doubted that. There may be times I want to bop him in the nose, but no, and I think I felt that right away. I felt just this feeling of safety, that he was always, always be there for me. And he certainly has been.
I feel very similar, when as we dated and, we went through the process of, first going out with the Stevens and Earl and Mary and so forth. And then, I don't know when, but we started just the two of us going out. A little bit concerned about that because I don't know what we would talk about. But then I thought back, we've talked before, so this would work. And as what I remember, we went to a place on Brandywine Avenue. It was a nice area of town then, and there's a Hess station there now. But there was a nice restaurant. In the summer, they had an outside ice cream thing, but during the winter and during the summer, they had this restaurant. And it was very nice, it was
Little
one
Jack
step
Corners.
above a diner. But I was amazed, when we met, how much older she sounded and acted than what her years were. She was a very stable person, and very shortly, within maybe I don't know 6, 7, 8 months. I was fortunate, I had a checking account, a savings account, and a brokerage account. And so went to the bank and got permission she could sign my checks. And as it was, most wives in those times didn't sign their name, they just signed their husband's name. And so she did that for years. She still does that today. She took over that. She took money from the checking account and put in a savings account, from the savings account into the checking account. We went down to the brokerage firm. She met the brokerage people. She could buy and sell stock. We always talked about these things, but there was this. The reason for saying that, there was this really deep feeling of security and knowledge and compassion and understanding. It was all there, and very, very happy. I still, and all through our life, it was just one of those things that, as Shelia was saying, very dependable. Always did the right thing, always talked about it, and always very, very comfortable. And that came out in the children. I can remember, Trish is our third child, but she would, on Manus Drive, she would stand on the stairs, you come into the garage and then you could go down cellar or go into the kitchen. And she would stand there and, in her diapers, and she would always say, "I talked to you, Daddy." And I would say, "What have you
What
done
did
to
you
her
do
today?"
now?
And Trish would talk away, didn't understand what she was saying.
Well, all of
I
it.
understood she had a problem with her mother.
No, she
And,
would. She'd hold up her arms. "I talk you, Daddy," and he'd know. It was.
So it's this comfortable. I still get that comfortable feeling. It's nice to come home. It's nice to smell supper or it's just nice to, I don't know, get a quick kiss or something. It's always very, very peaceful to me. And I don't think that'll ever change. At least I don't want it to change. I am very happy, with what happens. And it has worked. It has worked. We've made decisions together and we've made mistakes together. But all in all, completely happy.
I didn't know you were part of the mistakes. I thought I was the one that made the mistakes.
Oh no, I did too. I made lots of mistakes. Lots of mistakes.
All right, I'm gonna throw it out there, and you kind of mentioned what bugs you about each other, and it's you've made it work for 67 years. So, when give me an instance where you want to pop them in the nose, or when she drives you crazy. Do you have anything?
Go ahead. Oh yes.
So
yes.
Go ahead. If you want to share it, great. If not, that's fine.
No, that's all through. Even before we were married, it was this. She many times, wanted to do something but wouldn't come out with it, very, and there was this casual thing going on, and the sign over on a wall just behind me here. There's a light switch for turn on the light when you go out the doors. It says when her eyes are smiling.
When Irish eyes are smiling, they're up to something.
Yeah. So you had to figure out what they're up to, and there's whole variations of this, and sometimes you wonder how you can become so frustrated with a person that you love so much, but and it happens. First that happened today. We had a nice breakfast, and I was getting out something for coffee break, which was maybe like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and so consequently I'm in the kitchen, and she's talking away. Well, we're both old. We both have a hearing impediment, and so consequently, 90% of the time, I don't know what she's saying. And then walk out into the sunroom where we're sitting now, and she's angry. I evidently didn't respond. I evidently didn't have the right answer, but that happens. Though that happens, and it happens more now, because of our impediment. But she's always, she can be in the living room and she's talking to me, and I haven't. Even when we were, she'd be in the kitchen in our first home. We lived in an apartment for like I don't know. We bought it in June. We rented it in June, and we moved our furniture in and things of that nature. But so we started there right after our honeymoon, which was only a couple days because I couldn't get off from GE. But anyway, she'll be in a different room, and she'll be talking to me, and I can't hear her, and so consequently she comes in and she's all upset. So if I look at the problems, maybe that's it. Other than that, I really don't. I always liked what she made. As far as food goes, she was meticulous with my clothing. I was amazed at what women do, and I'm sure my mother did this for me. I'm sure, because I had all those things, and Sheila was very good. She spent time with my mother. They became complete friends, really friends. Into that, from the day we started dating, and Sheila, my mother, in fact, my mother knew Sheila because her sister and my sister were the same age in school and so forth. So she had seen Sheila. Because when I got home, I told her about Sheila, and the first question she asked, "What'd you think of that beautiful red hair?" So consequently, she had met Sheila. And but I never won an argument with my mother. She always defended Sheila. It took some embarrassing things. When we moved out here in 1968, we knew we were coming, and the people who were in the house, I also knew Norm Dam. In fact, we changed. I took his job at the R&D Center. He went to Tennessee to build a new plant. But anyway, so we actually came here kind of in August we started painting. In fact, our children, Trish was too young to go to school, but
Yeah, she's 3.
and Trish probably only remembers this house. But our other 2 children were older, and they came. Brought them to school in the morning. Sheila picked them up in the afternoon, and we used to have supper here. So, but anyway, the reason for telling that is that we had pulley lines in the other houses. In fact, our first house was like my mother's, where the lines actually came into the porch. You didn't have to stand outside in the weather. She had a folding table there, was a cabinet built in, and so she wanted pulley lines. And so way back in the beginning, in August when we bought the house, we went on my mother's property, and we cut down a locust tree. That locust pole still stands out there.
Yep.
The way it is, and which Sheila wanted a cross arm on it that was from a telephone pole with the insulators and that. So we found all that and we put it together. Problem was I didn't put it in a vertical position, so we had clotheslines. She tells my mother. My mother calls me up at work during a staff meeting. Helen comes into the room and says, "I don't know what to do. Your mother's on the phone and she insists on talking to you." I said, "Okay." So I leave the room, I go to the outer office, and my mother is talking to me and talking to me and talking to me. I kept saying, "Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom." And I'm looking into the office, and I was young at the time, so all my staff was in their 50s, and they were just having a glorious time at my expense.
Nobody told Doyle anything.
But anyway, in addition to putting up the pole that Saturday, she was coming out with my father, and they were going to help me. And lo and behold, we got the pole up, and the pole still stands there 52 years later.
With my pulley lines.
And we still use the pulley lines. So she really made an impression. Yeah. Really made an impression.
You've been married for 67 years. What advice would you give to people, or what do you owe 60? You've been married 67 years. To what do you owe that? What advice would you give to Trish and me, to couples? How do you make it work for 67 years?
Communication.
Say, we've made it work for 67 years because...
Okay. We made it work for 67 years because of communication. I think Sheila and I learned that from her job, certainly from my job, and it was a total support system. We try to, each day, to sit down, and that's generally, 9, 10 o'clock, and we have some tea, we sit in this room, and we talk. The tea, it's nice to have a kind of a snack or something before you go to bed, but, to just sit down, and it's hard to talk. So there you sit with your coffee, or we always have tea. So with tea and a cracker, or we make our famous crackers. 3 crackers each. 1 cracker with just peanut butter, 1 cracker with jam, and 1 cracker with peanut butter and jam, and or whatever we happen to have. At that time, could be a peace pie, and you can sit over and you can talk, and and that works. The other thing we found that, or I found, I'm always in trouble, but anyway, we found that shouldn't argue or try to solve an argument while you're just communicating. Now, if you have a problem, or if I have a problem, if Sheila has a problem, we tell the other we have a problem and we tell them what the subject is. And so consequently, then we establish a time when we'll talk about the problem. And so consequently, whenever that time arrives, we talk about the problem. And it's learning how to do this, because it's like having an argument with anyone. Most of us take and look at, we're preparing our argument to the statement the person made, and really not sticking to the whole subject. So we have rules. The rules say that you cannot, talk about something that happened 5 years ago, or, you got to stick to the subject. And we also have a kind of a breaker, like you have in electricity, where the breaker opens on its own when it's overloaded. And so when you reach that overload point, you can say, I need to stop, I need to think about what you said, and let's do this, not next year or 3 weeks from now, but, in the near future. And I find that works, because if you stop and think about it many times, in most problems, there isn't a big thing. We have discussions in that about children, about Sheila's mom. Sheila's mom was a large factor in our life. Sheila and her mother did not do well in their younger years, and so this comes with Sheila. We have all this baggage we're carrying, and that comes with Sheila, and it's a shame that happened, and it's and you can have this in a marriage, this baggage that you bring. So we find that sticking to the point, what we want to talk about. As far as one other big problem, at least I read about, is money. We never really talk about money. We do everything together. That's very honestly. We
It's what he says.
to this day, we write checks together. Sheila sits on a counter, writes checks.
He tells me what to write.
I sit on the other side the counter, and I go through the bills. And it can be the bill for the TV, television, and that. It could be the power bill. It could be, whatever.
Whatever.
But, so we all know where the money's going. We all know what's going in. And so, and Sheila used to do this much by herself, except once a month we would, go through the checking account and that. But I think we're both very good with money. We don't spend excessively. We are very diligent to make sure what we invest in or what we buy is of substance that'll be good for us and the family. And so consequently, and I've also been fortunate, there's no doubt, God has been very good to us. And we really did both very well at GE. I say both because Sheila did some of my homework. When I was taking classes, she did some of my homework. She did a lot of drafting for me. If I had ideas, I would write something on a piece of paper or draw a picture. She would do it on a drafting board. Very helpful in taking courses at GE, so that she became a GE wife. She learned about home and electricity and things of that nature. When we first bought our first house, it only had 110 volt power. And so the first thing we did was to put in a new power supply. And so, you know, if you went down to our original home down on Snowden Avenue, it was one of the first houses there to have 220 power, you know, and Sheila used to draw wiring diagrams for all the people in her houses so that the woman would know, don't plug in two electric appliances. This is when, this was, you know, in the 50s when we had electric coffee pots, electric frying pans, and all this stuff. So
They
these
were
women
just
were
coming
blowing
out.
fuses all the time. Sheila could change fuses, you know, and so, but she knew, you know, she had a gadget from GE that plugged it in, you know, and it went on. You just plugged it in a socket, and so, you know, she went around and took up all the fuses, put one in, and then she made a picture of them. And these are the lines that you can't use. So if you plug your coffee pot in here, you better put your other pan in a dining room because it's a different circuit type thing. They thought she was a genius. They thought she was a genius. And you have to remember that we moved into and lived in this GE neighborhood. So the next youngest person to us, I think, was Bill Wagner's daughters, and she was like 53. You know, so
Yeah, we were the kids. It was
got
all old
these
people.
20-somethings, and everyone else was really very, very old. So, and then she was helpful. You know, she did these. I don't know how many parties she was involved in, and she followed through on the procedures she's learned. You know, I've been a manager for, well, ever since 1956. I had a managerial position there. And of course, the first thing that GE wives are told, and some of this is gone today, but, you know your secretary. So she always made a point to meet the secretary, talk to the secretary, and she only called when there was a problem. So if she called, there was a problem, and that lady should go out and find me wherever I might be. And that worked. You know, on Secretary's Day, you know, many times we took the secretary out together, especially if she was a younger girl. Didn't have many younger secretaries. I always liked older women for secretaries. So anything above 45 was a good age for a secretary. And when we got married, I had Helen. Helen was 52, something like that. She had 2 children and grandchildren, and really, really helped us. I had a problem with kissing. Okay, had a problem with kissing, and I don't know precisely why, but I just thought that, you know, if you weren't kissing, then you weren't touching, and if you weren't touching, you know, but anyway, so we went out for a long time. I don't remember, and we never kissed. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, people used to ask anyway, but so Helen spent that whole afternoon with me, explaining to me that everything would be okay, and she didn't let anybody in the office after 2 o'clock. I was supposed to sit there, look out the window, and figure out how I was going to do this. You know, because I had an engagement ring and everything, and I was going to do this in I don't know, midsummer, and then I was going to do it later, and now we are, you know, in November, and here I am, and I've done nothing. So anyway, for Christmas shopping on Thursday night, the Thursday after Thanksgiving, she would come down to work, and then we would go shopping. We'd have, you know, a sandwich someplace, and we would go shopping, and that happened that Thursday, and so consequently, she met me at the gate, and then we went up to what's that restaurant that they took down on a corner of Erie Boulevard? I can't remember the name of it.
The corner where?
Corner of State and Erie Boulevard. It's a German restaurant, very famous. People talk about it all the time. The name will probably come to me. But we went there, and Sheila was really dressed beautifully. She had bought herself a new coat. It was, I don't know if we have that yet, or if you have that, but it was a nice gray coat with a little bit of black flecks in it. It had a, not fur sleeves, but the black around the sleeves and the collar. And underneath that, you know, she was wearing a jumper and a white blouse that always had a little thing on a collar. It was kind of a turtleneck type thing. And I commented, you know, she was really dressed up. She says, "Well, we've got to meet some friends, you know, and I just want to, you know, look good." And that all happened. That looked good. We got all our shopping done. We got all the shop. And then in one of the stores, we went in for, I don't know why we went into the store, but we went into the store, and on the way going in, Sheila noticed this. Today it would be medium size, but then it was a big stuffed teddy bear. It was, I think, black and white, was it, for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
Panda.
I still have it.
Anyway, on the way coming out, she mentioned it again. So consequently, I said, geez, we ought to get this because, you know, she's looked at it and she still wants it. So we were back in the store and we bought this teddy bear.
I still have him.
And took Sheila home. Sheila always had an 11 o'clock curfew, but this was only 9:30, and Aunt Emma and Uncle Paul were there. I didn't go in, but we put the boxes, you know, on the porch. And we're standing by the car, and I said, now or never, you know. So it was a warm day. I know we had, she had her coat on, I had a top coat and a suit, and I took her hand. I figured she couldn't hit me then, and I started to kiss her. And Sheila just stepped right in. And before you knew it, we were hugging, and I told her I loved her. And then we stopped for a minute or so. That's when the porch light came on. And then she said she loved me and kissed me. And she asked me if I wanted to come in, you know, and I said, no. I was really, I quite honestly sat in the car for a minute or two. I buttoned my shirt collar. It was just a absolutely, I always remember that. I don't know why. It was an absolutely amazing moment in time. It truly was. And from there, it kind of went downhill. You know, what I mean to say is we became, it would be nothing to the hug and kiss. It would be nothing to, you know, those kind of things. Her parents had a steam heating system. I remember this, and maybe it's a lesson. Steam heating system, and her dad broke off the vent valve that was on there. There was a vent valve, and it was right next to the door. So he asked me if I could do something with that, and I said yes. When I got there to fix it, your parents were out. I don't know where Sally and Dave were, but anyway. We're down in a hall, and of course the radiator's low, and I'm on my hands and knees, and I was using Easy Out to take this thing down. So I got that out, you know, penetrating oil and wire brush and all this other stuff, and Sheila was just having a great time picking on me. So when I finally got the vent valve in and turned on the steam radiator, you know, I was still on my hands and knees. She pushes me over, and she didn't sit on top of me, but she kind of pinned me down, and I was enjoying every minute of it until your mother and father were coming in, and my feet were hanging in a doorway, you know, and her mother became absolutely irate. You know, Sheila, what are you doing? And so on and so forth. And I said to myself, God, I feel so sorry for. I can go home, but Sheila's got to stay. And anyway, you know, that's also an example of Sheila's mom. You know, we couldn't sit together on a sofa and put her feet on a hassock. Her father said that was okay. Her mother said no, you know, and on and on. And there was another time we were the same period of time in the same. No, it was a little bit later. This was maybe in May. We got married in June. This was in May, and I was waiting for my ride. We were going to Erie, Pennsylvania. Actually, we had a gas turbine that was vibrating. And the base engineer didn't want to go unless I went. I went because I was on a test stand and I had a good feel for buckets and blades and harmonics. And so anyway, we're standing there waiting, and Sheila's half crying, you know, because she didn't want me to go. You know, it's. And so consequently, you know, we're standing in a hallway. She's got on, you know, loafers. So consequently, she's a lot shorter. And so consequently, you know, she wanted to hug and kiss at the same time. And I don't know, somehow I ended up, I ended up with my hands, you know, certainly on her backside. And you know, I didn't really realize I did that. I was thinking that, you know, I have to help her up somehow. But anyway, her mother yells, she's, you know, we're right in front of her. I don't know what the heck was the matter with me, but anyway. And she was sitting on a sofa, and she says, Richard, what do you think you were doing? And she's screaming. And so, you know, she scared me. I let go of Sheila. Sheila went down, and Sheila went from crying to said, I think she said, Mother, we're okay. And then she told me something, I don't know what that was. But we went back to where we were, and about that same time, the limousine arrived, and I left. And I guess maybe like 15 days later, I came home, and I came home early in the morning, and my mother came over. My mother must have talked to Sheila. Sheila came over, and I was still sleeping. And she had made breakfast for us, and she said, well, why don't you go get him up? And so I was sleeping, you know. Sheila comes up and she says he's still in his underwear, but he's okay. You know, so consequently, she comes up, she sits on the edge of the bed, and she rubs my back, and oh my gosh, what a thing that was. But anyway, we got up, or she left. I got up and I got dressed, and we had breakfast. Never went to church that day. We went down to Snowden Avenue. We looked around on Snowden Avenue and did some things, and my mother had strict orders not doing anything. You are just absolutely not doing anything. And so consequently, you know, that was, well, maybe a very complex answer, but it really was some of the high points, you know, that went through this engagement period.
Sheila, take me back to the first kiss with Dick. He just told you what was going through his mind.
And he finally kissed me. Oh my gosh. I mean, I had to call Susan right away and tell her he finally did it. It was nice. It was nice. I knew this was what kissing was supposed to be. It was good.
Well, yeah, I think for both of us it was, we talked about this a long time ago, but you know, neither one of us had dated before, and neither one of us had ever kissed anybody on the lips. And so consequently, this was a huge new experience for us. And for me it was, do you hold your breath? What do you do? I don't know. There was all these things going on in my mind,
But it just all felt so right. It just felt, this is it. This is the way it should be. It's right.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about? Any moments you wanted to share? Anything like that?
I do. We're planners, and so consequently, we made 2 moves, 3 houses, and it was kind of a planned process. The Snowden Avenue house was just great. It's a beautiful home. We never sold it. We got it till today. We moved on Manus Drive so that our children could have, could be with children their own
The
age.
children, and I think the school district too didn't want them in the city schools.
And it didn't like the schools, so consequently, and then we decided on Tricia. Well, I don't know. We were doing well, as a couple. I guess financially, relationships, and we thought we were good at it. So we thought another child. We're a little bit on the old side, but another child would be okay.
His mother thought it was fantastic.
And we did that, and we built a big addition on the back of the house with a second fireplace. We already had the room behind we had a kind of a porch behind the 2-stall garage. Connected those 2 together, and which made it a nice home for us. But we needed more entertainment room because we were in staff parties and things of this nature. And we kind of thought that,
And the drive to work too, because you were out at West.
Yes,
You were out at West Milton and Capitol.
I was traveling 25 miles each way to work and back. So we just took a map, and Burnt Hills happened to be the center. We drew a line around it, and anything within 15 miles was a reasonable thing to be. And then this house became available, and so forth. But I think the thing that I'd like to mention, and maybe for our future generations, is to you can live life through your children. Let's see, how do I want to say this? We had little to nothing. We were born in the middle of the Depression. I was born in '34, and consequently, there was nothing. Parents didn't have money. Father was working for a day and a half at GE. He was working on a coal ice truck type of a situation. Mother worked in a knitting mill, and things were really tough. How she ever bought 2 houses in 1938 is totally beyond me. But we tried to relive our life through our children, and what I'm suggesting is that if you feel you miss something, make that offer to your children, and you can relive this through your children. We always talked about having a camp. Well, we had a camp, and then we had boats, and on and on. We had one boat, kind of a ski boat, a towboat. And then with Tricia, we felt we needed a bigger boat, and so we bought a 26-foot mini cabin cruiser because it was much deeper, and we didn't have to worry about Trish, and so on. It was just great. It was great watching them go to school. I used to write them notes. I can remember Tricia. I would always make it a point to find out what seat was hers. I would sit in the seat. I would write her a note, and leave it in her desk.
That was at back to school nights.
And many of the things really rounded out our life. I'm very happy with that. Some of the things I did. I came home one night and Sheila was upset. Our district was consolidating, Burn Hills Boston High School District, and Sheila was talking about they're going to close Stevens School, they're going to close the school, and so on and so forth. And she says, "Do something with it." Well, I, didn't really know. I knew people in the school. I knew the school board. I did a lot of engineering work for them on a swimming pool in the high school and things of that nature and on the facilities. But anyway, I became involved, ran for school board, and won the election. I served 12 years plus another 25 on the facilities. And it gave me a chance to watch my children grow up. I got to give the youngest, Tricia, her diploma, and other people their diploma because they asked for it. I still, am interested in our schools. Our grandchildren went to schools. I always wrote them notes and stuck it in their lockers. I was upset when we gave up cursive writing and we're printing, and I just thought that was a step back. I had a problem with the new math courses, where we did away with the original math program, and we have estimating. Math is not something you can estimate.
This has nothing to do with what you're
2 and 2 are 4 and so forth. But it was just a great life for me.
You're off subject.
Pardon?
You're off subject.
I'm off the subject. Okay, the boss says I'm off the subject, so we won't talk about that anymore.
All right, I want you to do one thing for me. Give each other a big kiss.
Oh.
Oh, absolutely. You can kiss me. See if you can.
Love you.
Love you too, babe.
All right, let me get a shot of your hands. Put your hands on each other. Like hold hands. Like.
Oh, hold hands. We love holding hands.
We always hold hands. When I walk, I'm always holding his hand.
That's so you don't fall over.
Pat him again one more time. Do that pat. How you patted his hand.
Oh.
And one more. And just look into the camera and smile.